it's time to journal. Procrastination, feeling uninspired. If you're frustrated about why you just can't write consistently, you came to the right place. Today, I made something very exciting for you. I'm sharing this with you from my own experience, and then this is something I spent years trying to figure out. I've watched countless productivity videos and read books trying to figure out why I can't just write and create consistently, until I decide to put down those books and then let go of the methods to really learn and understand myself. And then things changed pretty quickly for me. So today I want to share my creativity awareness practice with you, and I made an entire template for you so you can download and apply to yourself. But first of all, I want to clear the air. I want to demystify something. You know the nagging voice in your head that telling you that you're lazy, you're not good enough, maybe you're just not talented, maybe you're just meant to be uninspired, unproductive, things like that. If you have that voice in your head, please tell him or her, I hear you and I'm very sorry you feel that way, but that is not true. Creativity doesn't come overnight, especially you being through the education system. No matter you are from Asia like me or you are in the West, there's high chance that you were trained to learn, to take tests, to make a good score, but you weren't trained to create. And also, if your life has been occupied by something else and you haven't been creative for years, it's just not fair to blame on yourself, blame on your quality. I don't think any of us were born lazy or not be able to create. In fact, I think all the human beings are born to create. That's why we have this society and all the arts that we see. It's just take time to really figure out how our creativity works. But every single one of us create differently. Our brains wired differently. So I think how can you be productive? How can you be inspired? And then staying creative should look differently for everyone. There might be similarities between people and there might be a pattern, but I think each single one of us should really, based on our situation, learn about ourselves, really discover and build that awareness of how we create the best. So that's what I have been doing. If you have been following me for a while, you know I have been writing daily for a long period of time. I believe right now I'm on 145 days and non-stop, never break the chain. But there are probably like a handful of days I only be able to write 30 minutes. Usually I do around an hour, and then now I'm start extending to an hour and a half or more, depends on the days. During this process, I start noticing the patterns of how I work and how I create. Because I really want to find out the specific pattern, I started a journaling process each day, just simply on my planner. I started to write down things I've noticed that make me not be able to create, and the things I start realize that can help me create. And throughout this process, I've been more and more intentionally structuring my days, making the creative process come more easier and natural and more inspired for me. So because this is a daily journaling exercise to learn about your creativity, and I've been doing it on paper, but I really want to share with you. So I created a digital form. It's in Notion, and I'm going to put the links in the description down below so you can download and use it for yourself. I really hope you can give this a try, because I really believe this can help you to boost your creativity, to write daily or to create daily. If you're not a writer, you're a painter, you're a musician. Even if you just want to use it for schoolwork or building reading habits or exercise habits, I really think it's gonna help you. I'm going to start explaining to you how this works. So I'm going to use writing as an example. First of all, you need to set aside a time frame that you are going to dedicate to writing. It doesn't matter how long, use whatever length that you feel most comfortable, that you're most likely to stick to it. I think ideally if you can, trying to do this practice daily, But if you cannot, you can try to do, for example, Monday to Friday or every the other day. I think they all helps as long as you have a consistent routine to testing it out. And my suggestion is maybe you can start it only with 30 minutes a day. Okay, now I'm going to talk you through how this form works. You don't necessarily need to use a form. You can do what I've done to write in your journal if you prefer use a pen method. But what's good about this form is at the end of the day, when you are curious about certain things, you can sort with certain tags. I'm gonna show you a little bit later, or you can see the patterns more easily on the form. So I just started to do this for a week on the form. I already start seeing the pattern very clearly. I'm going to show you how this works. So the first column is very straightforward. It will be the days. Mine is starting from 139 day. Yours should start from day 1. And then the second column would be the date of the day that you're doing the practice. And then the third column would be the hours you started doing the writing. As you can see, mine is mostly in the morning, but one of the day was 7:30 p.m. Next column would be the score. How you scored the session. This is how you feel about your writing session. Is it a good writing session? Do you feel very fulfilled? Do you feel you're making progress? Do you feel you're enjoying the session? So it depends on how you feel about the session, you're going to rate it from 1 to 10. So now I need to clear the air again. I think we have a problem in writing community that we emphasize too much on the word count, the page count, but that's just a very small part of the writing. There's research, there's a thinking time, things like that. I've talking about this in my channel many times before. So in this case, when you score the writing session, please keep that in mind. Don't just focus on the word count, the page count, because you could write a very uninspired page that you don't even like it. That doesn't necessarily count a good day. But if you have a day that you've done a ton of research and write down a lot of notes and then learn about your characters and then making a lot of progress on the development side, but you didn't make any page count, that could count a very good day. It depends on how you define what is a progress for you. For me, I think the best for the creativity is to score it based on how you feel after the writing session or during the writing session. The feeling itself. Do you feel the entire session is very inspired, that you feel you're in the flow? When I'm completely get very emotional during the writing process and then into the flow state, I don't care about how many sentences I wrote. I count that as a very good day. And if I have a day that I force myself type out a bunch of stuff, I feel struggle, I feel I can't focus, overall feel not very inspired, I count that as a bad day. So you just kind of like that, rate the day on a scale from 1 to 10. So next column would be the hours that you spent on writing that day. Even though I was talking about 30 minutes, but what I meant was the minimum. Sometimes when you write 30 minutes and then you're in a very good day, you will start feel like you're in such a good flow that you don't want to stop, and then you can keep going and keep writing until you feel like you had enough today, and then you can write it down how many hours you worked on your writing that day. But again, try to make the minimum 30 minutes, even just struggling sitting there for 30 minutes. So the next one would be the sleep hours. That would be how many hours you slept the night before. So in that way, you can get a little idea of whether or not sleep impact on your creativity. And the next column would be food that you eat before the writing session. It could be several hours ago, or it could be right before the writing. It doesn't matter, but things that you've taken in before writing. And the next column would be food that you eat or drink during the writing session. This is a very interesting one. I put this one here because it makes a lot of difference for me. For example, if I write, I need a coffee. And then usually I write in the morning, which is perfect. But if I'm writing in the evening, trying to drink maybe chamomile tea, it doesn't work for me. Chamomile tea works with reading for me. And then another very interesting thing is, even though when I'm drinking coffee, I feel very productive with writing, but I don't feel productive with editing when I'm drinking coffee. That's something very strange, but I have been noticed the pattern. And then what make my editing session productive is black tea or any kind of thing mixed with black tea. I can't quite explain, but I have to have tea when I'm editing, and I have to have coffee when I'm writing. And the next column would be the nap and sleep column, and that column would be, did you nap or sleep before the writing session? So if it's in the morning, the first thing I did was writing. Yes, I slept before the writing session. Or if my writing session is in the afternoon, did I take a nap before the writing session? It might make a difference for you. Some people don't need a nap and then they can functioning very well in the afternoon, but some people do need a nap. And then some people maybe not very inspired first thing in the morning, like right after sleep. And then some people probably feel very sharp right when they wake up. So that's something you want to figure out for yourself. So the next column is the activity column. It's also the activities before the writing session. Did you scroll on the phone before the writing session? Were you in bed before the writing session? Or were you reading? Or did you have a day job? Things like that. You have to figure out that for yourself. In this column, I'm also dividing social media tag to under 30 minutes, between 30 to an hour, or over an hour, over 2 hours, things like that. You can totally do that too. So you can find that space that sometimes maybe you scroll for 10 minutes and it doesn't really impact on you so much, and then that's totally okay too. And then you can set a timer to kind of go on social media a little bit and then go back to writing. Yeah, so you can take this form, add all the tags that you want to put in there based on your normal activity, and then see what activity will impact on your inspiration and then creativity or motivation, or what kind of activity will maybe help you boost inspiration, creativity, things like that. And then the last column, but not the least, is the feeling column. So that's the feelings that you have during the writing session. Do you feel peace? Do you feel mind very sharp? Or did you feel anxiety? Do you have comparison thinking? Did you feel not good enough? You can put them all there to really figure out how you feel and how that relate to the score you give to a writing session. In this way, at one glance, you can start noticing the pattern. If I have a bad time before the writing, the score tend to higher. So you can start looking into the combination of all of those things and how that impact on your writing score. So for example, there are days I feel low self-esteem. I have a lot of negative thinking in my head, and then you can see the score is 1. I clearly had a bad day, but also that day I slept 6.5 hours before. I had a meal of noodle before writing, and I didn't drink my coffee. I didn't take a nap. So overall, everything is setting up for the score 1. But looking at other low self-esteem day, there's one day I did drink water and coffee, and it's the first thing in the morning. I slept 8 hours the night before, and I do feel like I have a sharp mind, so my score is kind of around 7. And then also there's another example. I have another day feel low self-esteem, but somehow I feel very calm. I slept 8 hours the night before. I had water and coffee and then write first thing in the morning, and then I scored a 9 because I felt really good about my writing session. So clearly, low self-esteem could be impact on my writing and my creativity, but not a huge impact. If you compare day 143 and day 141, the major difference is I was on social media for less than 30 minutes on the 141 day, so my score is 7, slightly lower than the other day, score 9. So that's what I mean by you can really look into the combination of all of those things, so you can find out they think that my impact on your inspiration, trying to making adjustment from those things impacted the most. So in my case, at one glance, I can tell it's from the sleeping hours, how many hours I sleep, and I write in the morning or afternoon. Is there social media involved right before writing? But this is just one glance. What you can do is to sort it by adding filters. So I already sort by the score from high to low, and I have another form right here. It's the same content but only sort by the score, and then in that way I can clearly see the pattern, what worked for me. In this form, I can also sort by activity. For example, if you sort social media under 30 minutes, and then you can see overall score 7. Not too bad, but we can delete it and sort with social media above 60 minutes. Okay, we can see it's 1. And then also you can add a combination of several things all together. For example, sleeping hours, maybe change it to -6, 7, maybe -7. Let's delete the social media one. We can see overall the score is a little bit lower. And if you want to sort multiple things together, maybe sort with social media and then also sort feeling of foggy mind. And then we can see, because I haven't entered that many data yet, I only have one right here, but you can clearly see it highlights, okay, those combination of things will cause a score 1. Yeah, this is how you use the chart to help you journal out a little bit. And then there's another thing you can do if you are using Notion, is that on the day you can click open to really write in how you feel in detail of what happened that day. So in that way, if you are curious about what's going on that day, want to journal a little bit more, you can go in there to that day to really journal about. But I haven't been start doing that in Notion yet. I have been doing that in my own planner after the writing session to kind of analyze a little bit what happened. And then one more thing I think you can also do if you're using a Google Sheet, or if you know how to link Notion with Google Sheet, is that you can create a graph of the score. So in that way you can also see how your score fluctuates throughout the days, especially if you're writing daily. I think that would be very helpful, because a lot of the time when we don't feel inspired to write, we blame ourselves that something we must done wrong today. But sometimes it's just like everything in nature. Things comes and goes as a wave. So I don't think you will be consistently feeling inspired every single day, even if you've done everything right. You will have a pattern. And then some days of the month you might feel low, some days of the month you might feel high. I haven't made a graph yet since I don't have enough data, but I'm going to try that out. Maybe it's going to flow with the moon cycle, who knows? And if I figure that out, I'll definitely share with you, or you can just download the chart and try it yourself. And also, if you download this chart, the columns just based on what I'm curious about, you can always add more columns to things you want to testing out. For example, you can have a column of, are you listening to music while are you writing? Yes or no? Or even you can write a column of which album that you're listening. Maybe that will be something you're interested in as well, and you can totally add them into the form. I'm very curious, have you been working on increasing your creativity, and how you have been doing it? If you have other method or things you feel work for you, if you can kindly share in the comment down below, maybe we can learn something from you as well. And thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you're interested in checking out what I've learned from my 100 days consistently writing challenge, you can click right here watching this coffee chat. And thank you so much for watching. Be patient, be present, stay creative. I'll see you next week. Bye. Pew.